Tyreek Hill's sudden exit from the Kansas City Chiefs was the talk of the town just a few months ago in March. His first year with the Miami Dolphins is going exceptionally well, and nobody expected anything less from the talented wide receiver. Even though the Chiefs and Dolphins have both moved on from the trade, Hill still had a few things to clear up. Stay tuned for this and look at the shocking franchise record he broke. First up, let's see what Tyreek has to say. The Miami Dolphins wide receiver hopped on a recent episode of Club Shay Shay, a podcast hosted by Shannon Sharp. The 28-year-old opened up about all the details, discussing what really led to his seemingly hasty exit from Kansas City. The main reason that he cited was the number of targets he had for himself. You have to dream big to be great, and it seems like Tyreek Hill lives by this. When Shannon asked him to elaborate on the exact time period he started to feel like his time with the Chiefs was ending, he said the feelings were creeping up on him while he was playing the 2021 season. Now, why did he start thinking about leaving back then? Hill talked about how he started thinking about leaving the Chiefs mid-last season. He elaborated further and said that he's the type of guy who loves playing football and that he loves being a part of the team because at the end of the day, football is a team sport. The real issue came up when Tyreek Hill was getting 2 or 3 targets per game. We're not talking about this being a once-in-a-blue-moon occurrence. It kept happening again and again. Of course, the receiver had meetings with the coach and his coach was talking about somehow involving him. That's why Hill called up his agent every single week to try and get his point across after all the crazy stuff that everyone was saying to him. Apparently, his exact words were, "Bro, I've gotta get out of here." Coming up, let's look at the numbers backing up Tyreek's claims. When it comes to how many times Hill was targeted in games last season, the numbers speak for themselves. The receiver was targeted 5 or more than 5 times in only 4 games last season, which is practically nothing. What's more is that he happened to be playing less than 50% of the available snaps in 2 of the low target outings, which is absolutely insane. Still, Tyreek Hill was able to prove himself as one of the most valuable players for the Chiefs. He hauled 111 passes from the quarterback Patrick Mahomes and simultaneously set the Chiefs franchise record for most targets at 159 during a single season. Not only this, but he also trailed only 6 receivers out of all of the football targets and finished 7th in yards too. He was as involved as anyone could be, especially considering the fact that he was sharing the field with Travis Kelce, a future first ballot Hall of Famer. Moving on to more details, the player dished out. As an outsider, how the trade took place might look a little bit confusing. Thankfully for us, Hill cleared up all of those confusions and explained how everything actually went down. Hill's team and the Chiefs management have been in talks about the 28-year-old's contract extensions, and it seems they reached a sort of impasse at the beginning of the offseason. That's when Brett Veach, the team's general manager, decided that it would be best to get some cap relief as well as draft picks from Miami while they got the elite receiver. That sounds like a fair deal. According to Tyreek, he discussed the whole situation of the contract with both Reed and Mahomes, adding that at the end of the day, he just wanted to stay with the team. That obviously changed entirely when the Dolphins jumped into the equation. Apparently, Miami called up the receiver and said that they were just going to go all out, and it so happens that the statement was true because they offered him $72 million guaranteed. No sane person should ever turn that down, and Hill seems pretty sane to us. No state income tax was definitely a plus for the football player because he's basically living in his house for free right now. Now, more about the finances of this deal. Hill didn't hold back when it came to disclosing all the money-related details of the deal. At the time, he said all he wanted was for the Chiefs to match the $25 million annual salary that A.J. Brown got after being traded from the Tennessee Titans to the Philly Eagles. This part of the story is a bit questionable though, considering that Brown was traded a whole month after Hill. The Cheetah added that even though the Chiefs matched the $25 million, the guaranteed money they were offering him wasn't near what the wide receiver wanted. Despite everything that went down, Hill admitted that there are no hard feelings from his end. He explained further, saying that he can't mix his hard feelings with the business side of the whole deal. He said straight up that he is still for love for all these boys, Patrick, Kelce, Veach, and Coach Reed. He still loves them. That's the main takeaway. This doesn't mean he'll go easy on them if the team goes up against the Chiefs. Hill also tipped his cap to Reed and Bieniemy's dynamic duo and everything they did in shaping him into the player that he is today. He has taken the NFL by storm because of their efforts, and now the Dolphins are a squad that people must fear. Even though the two teams aren't scheduled to go up against each other this season, if they face off in the playoffs, Hill said that, quote, "They better have 2 people on me, that's all I know." Hill also added, "The Cheetah will be arriving in Kansas or in Miami. I I don't care where I'll be at. Next, how is Hill adjusting with the Dolphins, and how are the Chiefs without Hill? When you think about how Hill has already beat last season's yardage total and the fact that he's not too far behind in targets and receptions, it's fair to say that Hill is experiencing an amazing first year with the Miami Dolphins. On the other hand, even though people thought that the Chiefs might struggle without their star receiver, Hill, they've somehow managed to build what might arguably be the best offense in the NFL. This of course would not be possible without quarterback Patrick Mahomes, who has led their team to victory in many games this season. Surprisingly, this trade proved to be a win-win scenario for both of the franchises involved, which nobody was expecting from such a high-profile swap. At this point, it's looking extremely likely that both of the teams will be heading to the postseason and might even have to go up against each other in January. That's definitely something to look forward to. Let's move on to the franchise record that Hill shattered. It's no secret that the wide receiver is absolutely thriving in his newfound home with the Dolphins. In just his first season, he managed to break a very long-standing team record that was previously held by one of the GOATs of Miami. In his 13th game playing for the team, Hill did something that many have only dreamed of accomplishing. He broke Mark Clayton's single-season franchise receiving yardage record, which stood at a staggering 1,389 yards and was set by the legend all the way back in 1984. When he was playing the 13th game against the Chargers, Hill proudly wore the title of the NFL's leading receiver. He entered the game with 1,379 yards on 96 receptions, so everyone knew he was going to break the record. Next, a little history about Clayton's record. The year this record was set by Clayton was a very important year in the Dolphins' history. It was that year when they got their 5th AFC title because of an explosive offense. That year, the offense had some amazing players, including wideout Mark Duper, who had 1,306 receiving yards that year, making it the 4th highest season single total. Pair Clayton and Duper's super duo with quarterback Dan Marino, and it's the perfect recipe for success as well as making history. As for Mark Clayton, this isn't the only franchise record that he set. His 18 touchdown receptions during the 1984 season are still the highest in Miami Dolphins history. We wonder if anyone will break that. He was also a 5-time Pro Bowler for the 10 years he played in Miami. Not only this, but he also led the NFL in touchdown receptions and happened to be the first in Miami's history to have 550 receptions. Definitely Miami's GOAT receiver. The fact that Tyreek Hill's name is up there with this legend is no surprise at all, especially if you've been keeping up with the NFL very closely this season. Throughout the 6 seasons he was with the Chiefs, he remained a Pro Bowler, and if he keeps going this way, things will get more exciting. The Cheetah also has a shot at becoming the NFL's first 2,000-yard receiver, and if this happens, he might just become the first ever receiver to be named a league MVP. Finally, let's assess Hill's and the team's overall performance in the game against the Chargers. Nobody was expecting Tyreek Hill to turn in anything less than his usual strong performances in the game against the Chargers, so when he had 81 receiving yards, it wasn't a big deal for him. Not only did he break the franchise record for the most receiving yards in one season, but he's also currently leading the NFL in receptions at 100. He also accounted for Miami's 2 touchdowns during the game. First, he helped put the Dolphins on the board, and then he followed with a 57-yard fumble recovery in the second quarter. This was the longest owned fumble return and the 3rd longest fumble return of any sort in all of the Miami Dolphins history. This means that Tyreek is the only player to record a receiving, rushing, punt return, fumble return, and kickoff return in the Super Bowl era. Either way, the Dolphins enjoyed a victory in this game because of Hill and Tua Tagovailoa's collaborative efforts. The quarterback also broke a record of sorts, moving past 3,000 yards passing on the year, making him the first ever player in franchise history to do so in both his first 2 NFL seasons. But that's a wrap for this video, my friends. What do you think of Tyreek Hill leaving the Chiefs? Let us know in the comments below. Please make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. Thank you for watching. We'll see you in the next one.
Jones, this time to the right side. Parsons giving chase.